There are a couple of things I would probably say in response to Professor Caliendo's remarks. Recognizing, as I do, the difficulties, and no one said discussing this issue, talking about this issue was easy. But I think there's some clear things that need to be pointed out. Number one, what the actual nature of language is, and the nature of words. That words do not come automatically with their own power. Their power comes from our own individual use, or in some cases, not using a particular term. And it's that particular issue that I'm most concerned about when we talk about specifically in an educational setting, where we would think that there are some boundaries that we may not have in other settings, because this is a setting where we come to learn, to teach, to discuss, to do these things openly. And I think one of the things that happens, even when you say, I can talk about the history of oppression that's gone along with this term without using the word, you also send still a subtle, maybe even unconscious message to those students that says or reinforces something we know from our larger society. That is, when we talk about race, it's an issue to be avoided at all costs. In the classroom, you might be able to get students to open up, to talk, to do that. But what happens when they leave? What happens when they go home? And to illustrate this, I think about a couple of instances in which I've used in one of my classes the book that I referred to earlier, Randall Kennedy's book, Nigger. I really didn't think about the implications of it in assigning. I just knew I wanted to use the book. And it was the first day of class that I found out a lot that I hadn't even expected to deal with. Number one, the students had trouble getting the book because they couldn't find it. And they wouldn't ask for it because they didn't know how to ask for it. When they got the book, they immediately saw there was a removable cover. They removed it, took it off, put it in their book bags, put the book in their book bag. For the few who did take it with them on the train or wherever, they did everything in their power to avoid eye contact with people. They simply wanted to do everything to avoid the questions that might come up. What are you reading that book for? Who wrote that book? What are you going to do with it? All these questions that are perfectly legitimate questions, perfectly good questions that might lead us into very frank and productive discussions about not only this term, but the issue and related issues of race. But all we can say or think of to do is what we've been taught from day one, most of us, to do, and that is avoid it. And I think by simply using the euphemism, when you're in class and you say the N-word, people know what you're talking about. You know, so we cover up with the N-word. It's not as if, oh, that must be different from this other word. And so my question is, why cover it up in that way and send this particular kind of signal that says, even subtly, this is something we should be afraid of. This is a word that has so much power that we should not even dare to speak it.
I think Dr. McIlwain raises a good point about the message my avoidance of the word sends about the importance of discussing the issue outside of the context of class. I'll concede that, I won't concede the point, but I'll concede that it's a valid one and a unique one. My job, though, if I'm doing it well, and I guess that's still to be determined, I don't have tenure yet, is to help students to realize that the issues we discuss in class do not evaporate whenever they walk out the door. It's an unsophisticated position to view the world in binary terms, though it's what we're encouraged to do, right? It's us versus them. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists, right? And we sort of have to view the world this way, or we're encouraged to. My students come to understand that this issue is not about say it or don't say it. You acknowledge in your opening remarks that this is a problem, that is, that false binary. So if I'm doing my work well, my students leave class knowing that while white folks should not use the word, they are entitled to, in fact, responsible to, discuss it and its power with others. Any suggestion that they're not able to do that is selling them short. You're not at NYU, man, you're at North Central College. I thought you would clap, but that was a good one. If you don't clap the cheap applause lines, I don't know how to get anything else out. I would carry that book around campus, around this campus. I would carry it around. But I don't think I would if I were a student. Most folks around here know me and would know exactly why I would have that book on me. With very few exceptions, white students wouldn't get that consideration. I would not pull the book out on the L, however, and read it. I can tell you that much. Because unless people wake up at 5:30 in the morning to see me on TV, which is for some reason the only time I'm ever asked to be on TV, they won't know me or know my reputation with respect to this issue. It would make me uncomfortable to know that I might be offending someone. And I think most white students would feel the same. But me assigning the book, which is written by a black man, is not the same as me speaking the word. In fact, I think it makes a powerful symbolic point that number one, I want to discuss it, but number two, it's too powerful for me to utter. There's nothing contradictory or hypocritical about that at all.
All right, I gotta have the last word. And all I would say is this: it's well and good. I know Professor Caliendo won a teaching award or something last year. I compliment all of his teaching skills and so forth. But regardless of what happens in the classroom,
it was an important teaching award. It was the most important teaching award.
My apologies.
It was cash. Maybe you've seen the play.
Can you tell me what the name of the book is? Yeah, it's all right. That's what I'm saying.
I haven't had that guy in class. That doesn't tell you anything.
No matter how much you drum into them and hope that this is what the outcome will be, this culture that we've lived in, that we've grown up in, overpowers us so much that says this is something you should not say, should not even speak about. And even when you say, I'll take the book to class, if I say the N word, am I not simply saying the word when I've got this book next to me? What's the difference?
The difference is that a black man wrote that word on the front of the book.
Nobody knows that except for us.
Who else matters?
True.
I think, Eric, do you have a question? Are we time for questions? It's a time for questions.
I think I'm going to bust in here. Sorry, third microphone. I'm going to go ahead and field some questions from the audience based on sort of what you just heard. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for giving your positions.